Welcome back, y'all. It's Tina here with more interior design talk. Welcome back. It's 2025. I wanted my first video to be about the T word, which is kind of ugly for me, but it's about trends. And I want to touch on the trend that made its way out as quickly as it arrived. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tina Montemayor. I'm an interior designer. I'm also a creative recruiter on the advertising side, and I am diving into my interior design business, sharing things as I work on new projects, and also taking you along for the ride. I feel like design should be inclusive and approachable for all, so you are gonna come on my journey with me, and if you're into this sort of thing, go ahead and hit subscribe. Anyways, let's go back to trends. As you might know, it's kind of an icky word for me. I'm focused on classic, legacy, lasting interiors, and more of a push for slow design. So I will cover the trends that are kind of making headway this year and design options you should stop doing right now. First one is more of a commitment when it comes to colors and a sense of adventure. So we're talking rich and sophisticated browns, and saturated, opulent jewel tones. So I think people will continue to experiment in transitional spaces. So this includes powder rooms, hallways, I think maybe in offices, and of course theater rooms, bars, playrooms. So we're going to see the splashes of energetic hues and more color drenching. It's going to continue to be strong. Things like painted trim and doors will still be popular. So that's one that I see continuing on and really continuing to be popular. The next one is sustainable design and a focus on craftsmanship. So this is one that will never go out of style. This is a trend you should surely hop on if you aren't already. But we are looking at storied and meaningful spaces, heirlooms, more of a focus on refurbishing, green construction and architecture that mines natural light, building materials that source and dispose of with minimal carbon footprint, and sustainable energy and consumption, more focus on intentional investing. Next one is sensorial design. So if you've been following me over the last year or so, you know how much I love design when it's all encapsulating and it mines the senses, right? It's more experiential approach to design. So we're talking about like that. You'll hear more and more the use of dopamine design. So play, adventure, imagination, pushing boundaries, really having fun with it. And more, as I mentioned, sensual, ritualistic, and supportive and embracing of your habits. Also, you'll hear the word, I think, romantic a lot more, kind of romanticizing yourself. I love this term that's been used more and more lately, and that's really honing in on like romanticizing yourself. You're lighting a candle while you're journaling, turning down the lights when you're eating dinner, even if it's alone. So I love that play on it. The next one is natural elements. This isn't a trend that has just come into play. I think it's over the years has become increasingly popular. But I think what we're going to see now is more of a, or less of a focus on that perfect room, that perfect snapshot, that perfect Pinterest board, about less over design and embracing imperfection. So it's going to be more about reality and real, lived in, loved spaces. Next one is, I think white oak is still going to hold strong. I think it's because if you look at the longevity factor of it, when you're sanding it down, going through the layers, when the time comes, you can always stain it a different color, and it's pretty, it's a broad spectrum of stains you'll be able to, it'll take, right? rather than starting dark and then trying to figure out how you're going to do something different in years to come. So I think white oak really lends itself to the longevity factor and being able to try a variety of tones through the years as you live through the space. The other one is walnut. I think is still going to be big this year. It's because it's that warm brown tone that I think a lot of people are embracing more and more now, which is really nice. I think chevron is still, it's a classic. You can never go wrong with chevron on the floors. I think what's going to really pick, and then parquet flooring, I think parquet is going to be more popular. Again, that focus on craftsmanship, it just shows it's more of a design factor that takes into account another kind of wall in your space, and really minding, the small things, the little things. I think another big trend that's gonna come into play, and it's one that should stick around, is two-tone tiling applications and classic patterns. So whether it's marble or ceramic tile or porcelain tile, I think we're going to see more of this play again on two-tone patterns, more classic patterns again, so you don't get sick of them. But it's, again, showing that you're minding the space and being a little more intentional when it comes to the design aspect of it. Another trend that I'm seeing more and more of that I'm loving is statement lighting and layered lighting too. I think people are really digging the fact that your room can change depending on the lighting and the experiences you have with lighting, whether that's changing things out to dimmer switch, or it's adding sconces, or just a new floor lamp that really is a more architectural. And I think people, once they really live in a space and understand how different lighting comes into play, I think that's something that it can't be denied. So I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. The other thing I really see an uptick in this year is more traditional tailoring and patterns like plaid and stripes of that nature. I'm going to go into the things that I feel are out for 2025. I think there were quick trends, in some cases maybe a couple years or so. But these are things that I think people should kind of stop doing now. The first one is oversized organic bulbous furniture. Now hear me out. I think a lot of, organic, curvy furniture can be so beautiful and such a statement and awe-inspiring in certain places. But I think more and more people are realizing now, as they've brought it in, they're not as functional. One, you take up a lot more floor space when you bring in something like that. And two, they're not as comfortable as, I guess, classic traditional furniture. So yes, if you have a seating area that's different, a second room to your living room, where you're not there all the time, where it's more of a transitional space in a den or like your second story, or a formal area, I really see that continuing to be really beautiful and a good option. Otherwise, for everyday living, I think people will find that it's not as practical. The other out for 2025 are reeded panels. This might become more of, I think people might ding me on this, but I feel like when it comes to wood and the reeded panels, I feel like they never felt like they were like a commitment, right? They always felt kind of disposable, dispensable, and I don't know if it's because of the small nature of the construction or how faux reeded panels were becoming such a thing, but I feel like those are going to date spaces back to 2023, 24. So, I mean, I know channel and fluted, like marble is always going to be in style. It's always going to be a classic, but I just feel like reeded panels in particular, if the space wasn't begging for it before, I just feel like it's something that could easily date a space as well. The other thing are arches, and you know how much I love a good arch. You saw it in my, you saw it in the ad agency we designed. But I think arches, we saw them everywhere last year and even the year before. They are so beautiful in a photo, especially when we're talking about like transitional spaces from one room to another. The reason I'm saying arches are out is because I've seen a lot of arches in places that they don't belong. So they don't feel like they are 100% original to the space. I feel like a lot of times they'll feel off. It just makes it feel off, like it was. And another thing is when an arch isn't executed correctly, it totally cheapens the space. So I think arches are out. The other one I might get flack for is boucle. So boucle was huge over the last few years. I kind of see it kind of going out of style. It doesn't wear as nicely, isn't as pet friendly or kid friendly either. So I think that might kind of work its way out. The other thing that I see going away are quick fixes. So like a departure from fast everything. We're seeing this more in fashion, obviously, fast design, places like Wayfair or retail, frequent spending on trends, fast trends, I think are just going to go away as people become more and more kind of responsible with how they purchase and how they dispose of things. The other thing is going to be for aesthetic rooms, Pinterest rooms. Perfection is going to be out. We're again going to embrace imperfection, have more lived in experiences. And last one I want to say is the trend that kind of made its way out as quickly as it came in. And that is, drum roll, smart homes. Now, don't get me wrong. I think technology obviously has a place in our lives, and it has so much opportunity to improve our lives where it can. But I think there's a place where smart homes, where it's actually doing all the thinking for you and, you know, and picking up. I just feel like there's a time where it's not improving. It doesn't add value to your life anymore. And I think people have noticed this pretty quickly, that they want to get away from all the tech, right? You come home from work, you want to take a detox from technology, you want to sign off Instagram, off of YouTube for days, just to kind of cleanse yourself of all of it. And I think smart homes, there's a big departure from them now. I think people will continue to hone in on what they really want and what can really add value to their lives. But like just making everything like at the drop of a dime, being able to do everything for you, do all the work for you in a home is going to be out. So that's it. Those are my 2025 trends and things I see that are on their way out. If you agree with me or not, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I want to hear from you. What are trends I might have touched on? What are trends that you want to see go away that I didn't touch on? Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.